Hello, ladies, and welcome back to day 2 of Sip from the Well 10 Days of Pause. Today, we are talking about margins, living life with no margins. How many have been in seasons of life where you have had zero margins? Hello, I know me for sure. Okay, I hope somebody out there is raising their hand with me that I am not alone. I have definitely had seasons of life where I have had zero margins. And this is not this is not condemnation, this is not judgment, this is not any of that. What this is hey, we are in a safe space. We recognize that we have lived life out of balance at times. I'm going to say out of alignment. I have an issue with the word balance. Maybe we'll get to that today. Maybe not. I don't know. But I have an issue with the word balance that I'll share. I'll share with you at some point. Today is all about margins, living life with no margins. So, what would happen if we were able to create space in our lives? What would happen? What would change? What would change if you had more space? I know for me, there would be a lot more creative things that I was doing if I had more space in my life. I would be offering a lot more workshops if I had space in my life. I would probably be at the water a lot more if I had space in my life. I would probably see my friends and family a bit more if I had space in my life. Honestly, I would probably take a dance class if I had space in my life. Yeah, definitely a dance class. Probably a pottery class as well. What are some things for you that would change if you had space in your life? I want you to think about that as we talk about this. We're going to dive right into it today. Today, there is another workbook for you, the day 2 workbook. And in there, you're going to find a section that talks about no margins, no rest, right? When we are living in a space with no margins, typically there's not much rest happening. So in there, I want you to think about there's a chart for you to do this in there, and you can get as detailed as you want to. But for our discussion today, I just want you to think about how much space you have or don't have in your life to do things that really fill your spirit, that really refuel you, that actually truly bring you joy. Like, how much space do you have to do those things? You may be thinking about all the responsibilities that you have, especially any moms that I have in here. You are probably thinking, there's no space, Nicole, there's no space. And I truly, truly, truly get how there can be no space. But I want to share with you guys a little story. Okay. This is my story. It's my story of living life with no margins. So we're talking back in 2018. I started my doctoral program. For those of you that don't know, I have a doctorate in strategic leadership. And people are always like, what is that for? What do you have a doctorate in strategic leadership for? The simple way of putting it for me is I help people how to lead themselves well so that they can lead their projects and organizations with excellence in a way that causes them not to lose themselves. So I started my doctoral degree 2018, started working as an intensive in-home family therapist later on in that year. So full-time doctoral student, full-time intensive in-home family therapist. And I say intensive so that you can understand that the job was intense, okay? The job was seriously intense. Went to work every day, saw many, many families during the week, many counseling sessions, couples sessions, family sessions, individual kid sessions, meetings with teachers of my kids who were struggling in school. It was consistent, all while trying to keep up with schoolwork. Kept going, kept going. We hit 2019. Summer of 2019, I was on the job and I was with my therapy partner at the time, and we had to get to one of our clients, one of our kids. Drove to her house. She lived quite a distance away, an area that neither one of us were super familiar with. We went through a four-way stop. We were hit on the back of the car, the back bumper. The car spun 3 times and ran headfirst into a brick house, headfirst into a house, y'all. At that time, in the immediate aftermath of the accident, I didn't recognize how hurt I was. It took really 7 days. It took about 7 days for me to recognize how injured I was by that car accident because a lot of the injury was internal in the muscles and the nerves of my body. And remember, yesterday we talked about how the body keeps score, right? So I was injured in this accident, deep pain, couldn't turn my head. It was difficult. But let me tell you about myself. I was supposed to be at my doctoral residency that following week. I drove 5 hours in pain. Not once did I consider reaching out to my program director to say, hey, I was just in this really bad car accident. And I really am injured. What are my options? Never once crossed my mind. It was, oh no, we got to keep going because this is what I said I was going to do, and this is how it's laid out, and this is what I need to do. So I need to stay the course. Went down there in a neck brace, trying to listen to them at residency. One of the residency times I remember I was laid out on my back listening to what they were trying to say. How much do you really think I retained from that residency? I don't know. Like if it was really unwise what I did looking back on it. It was really unwise. But that is the pattern that I had found myself in. Came home from residency, went right back to work. My work as an intensive in-home family therapist required a lot of driving. There was no office. You drive. My office was wherever my client was. So I had to do a lot of driving to their homes, to their schools, to case management office, to doctor's appointments, to therapist appointments, all of these things. It was painful. It was very difficult for me to drive because I could not move my head. It was very difficult for me to sit and attend to therapy sessions because I was in pain. And I kept going, kept going, kept going until one day I had one of those aha moments. And it was like, Nicole, you cannot keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. And that was the little seed that God had planted in my spirit. And as I had that, you can't keep doing this, I started to talk about it. Hey, reached out to a coworker, talked to my supervisor, and they tried to accommodate me, but really I was expected to do what I was hired to do at the same capacity that I was hired to do it in. And it just wasn't possible. And I had to make a choice. And I had to make a choice for my wellness. I ended up reaching out to my supervisors, letting them know that I was going to have to leave the role. It was this huge deal. I remember one of my supervisors saying, oh, it's so brave of you. It's so brave of you to do this, to step back, to take, well, he didn't say take a pause, but that's the language I have now. It's so brave of you to take a pause. And in many ways, it probably was because we're talking about leaving my income, right? I'm not saying that that's what you need to do. I'm just using the story as an example that people were so shocked that I would put my wellness above my paycheck that they were like, this is so brave. I can't believe you're doing it. And in the same breath, trying to talk me out of it. So anyway, I continued on. I did end up leaving that job. I had to go into physical therapy. I was in physical therapy for 3 or 4 months. And during that time, the pain actually got a little bit worse. As you're healing and going through things like physical therapy, sometimes it can be really painful. And it was painful for me. And I call it my forced pause. And it was in that pause that God began to speak to me about how I had been operating. I had been operating in a way that I had no margins in my life. Having no margins in my life made it so that I wasn't exercising. It made it so that I was not eating the proper foods. It was like eating on the go all the time, all these little snacks, unhealthy snacks. It was making it so that I wasn't sleeping adequately. It was making it so that all the things that I was doing were not getting the best of me. They were getting crumbs of Nicole. And I had to really take a look at that and say, I can't do this anymore. I can't operate like that anymore. And in that 4 months of pausing, which then ended up being longer because The accident happened at the end of August 2019. September, October, November, December. We know what happened at the end of 2019, right? We know what happened as 2020 approached. All leading up to the tumultuous year of 2020 was me in this deep pause moment. And then we go into 2020 and there was nowhere for me to go. It was still in this forced pause. And during that time of 2020 is when so many things happened in my heart. I was able to deal with pain, grief, not only grief from past losses, past disappointments, but also the grief at the state of our world at that time and still today. Very similar. Pause. In that pause, I was able to spend time with the Lord. I was able to have deep conversations and connections with friends that filled me up and fueled me. I was able to spend time at my keyboard. That's something else that fills me up. I was able to spend deep time on my schoolwork because even though I quit my job, I did not quit school. And so I still had assignments and I was able to give my all to those things because space was created. It wasn't intentional space. It was forced space, but nonetheless, it happened. And because of that forced pause, I am now so passionate about making sure that we as women create space with intention in our lives so that we do not hit forced pauses. We do not hit the forced pause of disease that can slow us down. We do not hit the forced pause of disconnection from things that fill us and fuel us. So I want you today to think about my forced pause. I want you to remember my brick wall moment. That's what I call it because I did literally run headfirst into a brick house. So it's a brick wall moment. It was a wake up call. It was an aha moment for me. And it really highlighted the importance of the need to pause, for us to create space in our lives for deep connection to our true authentic self, to the one who created us, and to each other. So as we end day 2, I want us to talk about the pause of gratitude. Gratitude is an amazing pause to take. There are many ways to practice the pause of gratitude. I like the pause where you just say, you pick a color and you think of all the things that are that color that you're grateful for, or you look around the room that you're in and you think of all the things in the room, maybe 5, give yourself a number so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. 5 things that you're grateful for in the room that you're in. Again, many different ways to practice gratitude. But today, in front of you, I'm going to practice the 5 things in the room with me that I'm grateful for. Okay? The painting behind me. It's one of my absolute favorite paintings that I've ever created. It says One Love on it. That's supposed to be the earth. The middle is the earth. It says One Love, but all within the earth, there are words: unity, community. I don't remember all the words I put in there, but I put a lot of words in there. The reason why I'm so grateful for that painting is because the painting came to me in a dream, and it came during 2020. And I believe that God was speaking to me about his heart for the world in that painting. And I saw it in my mind, and then I brought it to life on canvas. And I love it so much. And it's just a reminder to me, 1, that God speaks to me and I hear him, but 2, that God's heart for the world is so much love and so much compassion and unity. My plants. I am so grateful for my plants, y'all. My plants are my babies, my children. I am not a mother of a human at this point in life, but I am a mother of many plants, and my plants have helped me. I love seeing them, touching them. Actually, this is a grounding technique and we can talk about, we'll probably talk about that a little later in the week, but touching them, looking at them, seeing the variety in the leaves, it just brings me joy. And I love that. Y'all, I am grateful for this Stanley Cup. My sister got this Stanley Cup for me for Christmas, and I absolutely love it. I need like 3 more, and I love it because I have set an intention to drink more water, and it's just easier to have this. I love that it has a handle. A lot of my water bottles are large and they don't have handles and it's difficult. So I'm thankful for that. I am, what is that? That's three. Four, I'm thankful for technology. I'm thankful for the ability to speak to you in this manner. I'm thankful that we are able to make the world feel a little bit smaller with the way that people have used their brains and creativity to bring so much life and connection in this manner. So I am grateful for that. Last but not least, you cannot see it, but you know what? I'll put a picture of it in your workbook. I have a picture on my wall. It says, I do believe. It's a picture that I created. I painted the rock and then I photographed the rock. And I'm grateful for it because one, I love what it says, I do believe. And that means so many different things to me. I do believe in God. I do believe in myself and the purpose that I've been called to. I do believe that all things work together for my good. I do believe that the women who are meant to hear this message will hear it and be blessed and be encouraged to make the shifts that they need to make in their lives. But ultimately, that picture, the rock that I painted, came from my dad. And the picture is taken in a flower bed that used to be my father's before he passed away. I'm grateful for the picture because it reminds me of my dad and just the beautiful spirit and man that he was. I loved painting it. I loved creating it. And I'm just grateful for that reminder of him and his presence. So I encourage you ladies to take time out today to think of what you are grateful for. And in this day two workbook, I will put some other ways that you can practice gratitude so that you will have kind of just some ideas to move forward with. But the pause of gratitude is amazing because gratitude allows you to shift. Gratitude brings you out of hard feelings, hard moments, sadness. Gratitude is a catalyst for joy. Gratitude is a catalyst to create things, to move you forward. So I encourage you to practice the pause of gratitude, dive into the workbook, go a little bit further, address the margins in your life, okay? Address the margins, see where you can create space. If that is something you need help with, don't you worry because later in this year, I will have something that we can work on that together and I will let you all know about it a little bit later in the year. But I want you to start now thinking about your margins. All right. I am grateful for you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you back here for day 3.